All right. So, here is this. Is this episode 4?
4 sounds right.
4. Episode 4. Welcome back to the Dapper Devils podcast, episode 4. Before I go way too far down the line and screw up like always, I would like to take time and say thank you to our sponsors, Pixel Popcorn Media Group, Unscripted Studios, James Thomas Productions, and today, unofficially sponsored by Mexican Coca-Cola. If you don't know the difference between Coca-Cola and Mexican Coca-Cola, you need to get educated. And then also a little bit of this moon juice from the Santan Brewery, which is local to Arizona here. And if anybody's ever interested in how a landlord tries to put a company out of business, I could talk to you about how they tried to do that to Santan Brewery, and Santan Brewery succeeded in staying in business.
What's funny, because we've never talked about this, I actually think I know who you're talking about because I've met them.
Who's that? The big, tall Dutch guy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's the guy.
He's kind of a knob. Like, he's
not kind of a knob. He just is.
Yeah. I interact with him very briefly, but like I'm assuming we're talking about the same person. Where Colby used to work. Those were his owners.
The Santan people?
No, the people.
Or the landlord.
The landlord.
Got it. Yeah, if he worked anywhere in that one strip mall down there in Chandler.
Peter?
No.
Oh, I'm talking to somebody else then.
They could be partners.
Maybe. No, but I think there's like 2 major ones that own a lot of the stuff down there.
But yeah, I had meetings with that guy because we were potentially going to partner in some restaurants, and we're going to have to deal with him as a landlord down there.
Okay. That's not the guy that owns the Uncommon.
No, that's the guy that we were going to be partners with.
Gotcha.
The other guy was the landlord in that situation. And anyhow, Santan Brewery stayed in business because they had panache.
It's true.
And so, with that being said, so today is going to be our anime manga day. Shout out. I just want to start with this. I just feel like it needs to.
I'll be the one to say it. Fuck you, Jordan.
I was going to say shout out to our friend Jordan for either one, playing a joke on us.
It's the best joke you could possibly play. Like,
or two.
So fucking stupid.
Okay, so yesterday we powered through and marathoned this show called Devilman Crybaby. That's what it's called?
Yeah, 10 episodes, quick show.
Yeah, not a huge commitment time-wise.
Felt like it.
About 4 minutes in, I looked over because I'm new, and so I looked over at you and I'm like, dude, is this what a hentai is?
It's basically softcore hentai.
So because I've never seen that either, but
it's art.
So says Stanley. So to warn anybody that may take this negative review that we're about to give the show and still choose to watch it, you need to understand, it's for 100% not for kids at all.
Well, for sure.
It is essentially softcore porn a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then it is really bizarre.
It's just so fucking boring,
on top of that. Well, okay. So I took some notes. First of all, this thing won Anime of the Year in 2018.
Which blows my mind. Like, the thing is too, because I like to be objective. I can't even think of a reason why. The animation is very cheap, which not to say that that's a bad thing, but it didn't look good half the time.
I think if you go in intentionally being cheap and you stay consistent with that as different. Sure. The thematic element to the art style, then it works. But the way they did it, it was
it was unique, but not in a good way, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah. So then there are terms that I learned because of the show, as I never knew what fan service was. And this is something that you said yesterday, that they're giving a lot of fan service in the show. Here's what I have to say about that. I may have missed it where they gave any context to the age of these characters.
As far as I know, they're all in high school.
if they are supposed, and I literally wrote it here, if they're supposed to be in high school, then this is super cringy.
It's 100% cringy. Which that is a big thing in anime. A lot of the time is like high schoolers or like teenagers, but you always forget because one, they're not drawn that way for sure, but two, it's like usually it doesn't matter. It's pretty irrelevant for the most part. But this particular show, like, it actually, like, it made it a point to be like, no, like, they're high school because like the whole fucking track and field subplot.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I don't remember them saying it, but colleges have track and field teams.
True. I mean,
so,
let me.
But if it is a high school themed show, then yeah, there's a couple of things. Like, there's some moral flexibilities being played with because one of the characters in the beginning of this little show, he's like a photographer that is literally perving out on these girls and trying to invite them to his house to take pictures, and then he's got like a bathtub that he has one of them get in, and then him and his manager or whatever that guy is, his boss guy, like they hit a button and then you can see into the bathroom where the girl is bathing, and I'm like, what weird. What in the hell am I watching?
So according to this website, which the validity of that I have no idea, it says the main character Akira Fudo is 18 and a half.
Okay.
So
you assume that his counterpart female in
are probably about the same age.
So they're probably all freshmen in college. Mm-hmm. Or okay, that makes sense. Makes a little more sense to me, I guess.
Well,
because it was very adult.
Hang on.
Thematically,
looking at this, because I gotta be honest, I don't quite remember because by the end of it, my brain was so fried.
Yep.
Is there like a slight time skip at the end of it because of just like the way events happen? Because this is saying, you know, ages between 16 to 12, depends on which universe. Okay, but so between the ages of 16 and 20, we'll round off in the middle and say 18 for the sake of it. But still, a lot of those themes, like again, like the guy taking photos, it's still weird.
Yes,
because again, he was very predatory. I think at one point, I mean, at least whether or not it happened, they alluded to like him violating one of the people he took photos of.
Yeah, the one girl. So like, there's so much going on. So that's the girl who like they show her masturbating at one point in the show.
Oh, the fucking donkey noises that come with it.
Yeah, you can't tell if it's like she has the most squeaky bed ever, or she just makes donkey noises when she does her stuff.
I like to think it's both.
But yeah, I don't know, man. So like, I will just say,
it was the cruelest joke that could have been played on us. Was, oh yeah, this show is great.
Yeah. So Jordan, I'm looking directly at you right now. The next time that you recommend something to us, it needs to crush, or I'm stealing a bowl.
Oh yeah.
That's. So anyway, I don't. Do you have anything else to really?
I mean, we both agreed the other day. It's 10 episodes. It could have probably been done in 6. I mean, half the stuff in there really just felt irrelevant and padding for time.
Yeah, I guess we're not doing it very much justice. We didn't even talk about what it really is. So it's a fairly generic angels and demons story, and your main villain. I mean, we both like saw the guy and we're like, that's the bad guy.
But yeah, Hitler Youth looking kid.
Yeah, he's literally like
blonde hair, blue eyed.
Yeah,
perfect race. And they talk about that a lot too, of like, oh, like we're trying to do like, they don't specifically say the words perfect race, but like
they're trying to,
they're heavily alluding to it.
Yeah, it is just, I don't know. So with that being said, we did watch it. You tried to get me to stop watching it halfway through and go back to watching more Full Metal Alchemist, and
or
I
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as I wanted to do that,
yeah. I mean, we watched it, but I'm okay never watching it again.
Oh, it doesn't get replayed.
No. When like we also neither one of us knew a thing about it. The only thing I knew was the fact that they ran goofy as fuck.
Oh yeah, they like drag their knuckles on the ground when they're basically running,
grabbing at the air. Like,
yeah, it's
a thing, and that was funny. That made us laugh.
Yeah, I mean that made me laugh, but I don't know. It's just so. Like I was saying earlier, it's so weird that they chose track and field as the way to like
show like how someone is like
stronger.
Yeah.
you're now a more of a physical specimen. They're like, ooh, I can run faster.
Right.
But I feel like as soon as the main character, Akira, turned into Devilman,
Well, you knew because he looked entirely different.
Yeah, he's a giant beast that punched a hole through another beast's chest. So
Well,
you're
yeah,
like,
well,
okay,
also,
well, I
too,
know
though,
he's stronger.
At the beginning of the series, he looks like a little bitch.
Yes.
Becomes Devilman, and then he looks like a 30-year-old adult with eyeliner.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Yeah, he looks like a Japanese punk rocker or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that being said, that's basically what it's about.
I mean, yeah, it's fighting angels and demons. I mean, the whole time watching, like we were saying, like we both basically thought, like, well, this seems like it's going to go in this direction. And then it did. Like, it didn't seem like it was a very in-depth storyline. Like, it wasn't like, wow, this is revolutionary or unique. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. It was just like, all right. And then again, we were predicting, like, okay, well, this person's clearly, like, Lucifer in this situation, or this person's this. And that's exactly what happened. And then by the end of it, we were just like,
okay.
Cool, glad that's over. Like,
yeah. Which I guess it brings us back to the palate cleansing, because went back into Love is War for a few episodes after that.
And that show is so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's still stupid.
Yeah.
It's still hilarious.
That's all it's going for. And it knows where it lies, and it stays in its wheelhouse. It doesn't try and reinvent the wheel or be like, look, we're edgy and unique. It's just like, nah, here's something dumb and fun.
Yep.
And that show's fantastic.
Yeah, I totally think it's hilarious, and I enjoy watching it. It was good to, like...
Again, just kind of be like, okay, I need something just lighthearted and fresh to just
fix.
Yeah,
what I just watched.
Saw. Yeah. But...
so,
Did you ever watch more Full Metal, or did you just...
Well, no, I'm slow.
That's fair.
So instead of watching Full Metal, I went and watched a whole bunch of Cowboy Bebop the one day. And then I read a few more volumes of One Piece. And I read all of the thing that we're going to talk about next.
It's what, volume 61?
Well, yeah, volume 61 of One Piece, but the PTSD Radio.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
So I don't know how many volumes there are. I know, like, sometimes I think people may buy things. They're like, well, this saga is not complete, and it will never be complete. So I don't know if it's still actively being written.
Let's find out.
I just know in the bookstore that day, the art style, like, it stuck out to me.
Well, because it's so disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, it's very Junji Ito-esque. Like, it's, you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, who thought of this?
Yeah, it's very, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's perverse or macabre, or,
Yeah, I would say macabre.
Like,
looking at this, it looks like there are a total of 6 volumes. So it's basically 1 and 2, like you have 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't really know how to feel about it, because, like, I mean, it read super quick. I think you said, what, an hour?
Yeah, I feel like it took me about an hour
I think it took me
to
maybe
read.
45 minutes to an hour. I wasn't, like, clock watching, but it's really quick, and it's really weird. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in those first 2 volumes, because call that, what, 20 issues, if each one's 10?
Yeah, that's
roughly.
probably about right.
I feel like we just barely scratched the surface about anything. Like, super confusing. There's not a lot revealed right away.
So, as best as I can tell, and I'll probably go back and reread it again just when I go to do the second volume to see maybe what I missed.
Sure.
But it seems like it's 3
interconnected,
like overlapping stories that will eventually all kind of converge together.
Well, sure. I would hope. I mean, it'd be kind of weird if it didn't after it has such a setup like that. But
right. But it's definitely dark. It's a horror manga, and it is...
There was that whole point where, like, I think it's, like, the first girl, she's, like, on, like, a train, and then she just looks at, like, her reflection in the glass, and she has no hair, and then all of a sudden her hair starts getting pulled into the seat, and you're like...
Yeah.
All right.
And so, like, that's one of the stories. That girl is talking about how her grandmother told her she has to shave her hair.
Right.
And then there's, like, I guess there's, like, a few different ages in your life that you're supposed to shave your hair because of this
entity,
hair pulling demon thing.
I did think it was kind of cool because every time that she was trying to like remember that, it always like redacted the age, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that you don't really know when it's supposed to happen,
Right.
and then you don't know if she's in trouble. So you just kind of always assume that thing is looming in the background.
Right, and then if I'm remembering correctly, that same girl, like, she gives it back to her ex-boyfriend or something. Like, it was...
Yeah,
it was
so...
muddled on that, but it seemed like it's like, okay, like, this demon attached itself to her after she met him.
Right.
And then she ends up, like, giving it back, and then it starts attacking his new girlfriend. Like, it's definitely weird.
Yeah, so it's weird because in that one story that you're mentioning, I just perceived that as a metaphorical STD.
Okay, yeah,
you
that
know,
makes sense. See,
like,
I didn't think of it like that. I was like just reading it more in a literal standpoint, but that, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I didn't know if that's what they were reaching for, and I don't know if, like, we'll find out at the end.
Yeah.
If that's something, but it was definitely interesting enough to, like, keep me wanting to read it.
Well,
I finished it. I was curious what was going to happen at the end in the next volume, so I'll continue to read it. Do you know that author at all that wrote that?
Not that I can think of. I'm also, to be fair, I'm not super well versed with
horror.
But just many Japanese authors. I mean, I knew, what is it? You've got, I think it's Masashi Kishimoto. I think he did Bleach.
Okay.
Kubo did Naruto. I could have that backwards. It's been a while. And then obviously Oda does One Piece. Those are like the three that I know. And coincidentally, it's the big three that everyone always refers to.
Yeah, I mean, okay, which brings me to another weird. So there are all kinds of new words in this world, right? And so today you said
Webster's got her work cut out for her.
Weeb.
Yep.
Weeb. If you're a weeb. So, like, you say this is the person that believes they're Japanese or practices all kinds of Japanese cultural things.
Yeah, like they just kind of go overboard with it. So according to Google, it was basically like the people that like surround themselves with anything Japanese and then like obsessed over the culture. So like I would say it's the one person that's like wearing a kimono and being like, oh, like I'm gonna eat with chopsticks only because that's what they do in Japan. And obviously, you know, it revolves a lot around the anime community because we're all weird. People do dumb shit like that, which at the end of the day, do what makes you happy. As long as you don't hurt anyone else, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
but
I agree with that. And so I think weeb they're probably also furries. Right?
I mean,
like, is that not a cross section?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Like they probably are all pandas or koalas.
Or a wolf.
Oh wait, koala
is
Australian.
Yeah, they have chlamydia too. Did you not know that?
I've never slept with a koala.
Neither have I, but no, like that's like a big thing. Like I don't know the exact number, but a large portion of koalas just have chlamydia.
Does it make you want to eat eucalyptus?
It actually might. I don't know for sure. I did see a thing the other day about koalas though that was kind of talking about like they're adorable, but they're dumb as fuck. And it was like you could have a bunch of eucalyptus right in front of it, and it wouldn't know what to do with it because it just would be like, what is this? Versus if you had a bunch of eucalyptus and put some like dirt or twigs around it, then it would go for it because it's like, oh, that looks familiar. Okay. And then it would eat. So like you could put a bunch of food in front of it and it would starve if it just didn't realize. I mean, I like koalas. I think they're cool. But if that is true, they're dumb as fuck, and that's funny to me.
Yeah, I guess I never really did a lot of koala research, so I don't feel qualified to talk about this.
To fuck off. You don't have the right qualifications.
Oh, God. What show is that from?
Oh, I'm sure it's from a lot. That's just always a joke that I've liked, though, because it's stupid.
It's very dumb.
I'm not lying.
All right. Oh, and then, so there's something called an otaku.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that sounds like just a proper nerd in the anime manga culture.
It's also a review website.
For nerd shit?
I think, yeah. I have not been on that website in so long, but I think it's like video games, anime, movies, basically, yeah, just pretty much anything. Nerdy. Pop culture, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so PTSD Radio. I think it's worth a read. It does read quickly.
Yeah.
If you like weird stuff.
That one's for sure, like, if you just buy that first volume of volume 1 and 2, you're going to have no questions answered. So I would say,
correct.
If you're one of those people that's like, oh, I want to at least have, like, questions answered to then move into the next one, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I would say just get 2. Start out with the first 2 little omnis. Well, okay, so then let's go to the good stuff. One Piece. I don't even think I wrote notes about it, but I don't really need
It looks like blank paper to me.
Yeah. Okay, so in volume 61, is that where we are?
That's where you are, yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Let's see if I can refresh. Just got back to Saba Odi after the 2-year time skip. Went down to Fishman Island.
back it up a little, because
Well, because
this is the issue.
Happens, like a quarter into that volume, right?
Yeah. So they basically, everybody gets the message from Luffy.
Right.
We're not meeting at Sabaody in 3 days.
days.
We're meeting there in 2 years. And so they kind of respectively show every character receiving that message and changing their course of action, because right before that they were all mobilizing towards
They were
Sabaody.
getting ready.
And then they saw that in the newspaper and said, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's reverse. And so every one of them went and learned something in the time. And so, like, you know, Nami, she goes and learns way more about weather and how to control the weather because she's on a weather island in the sky.
Chopper gets more doctor knowledge because he starts helping all the different people and animals in the region.
And then Usopp is in...
He's in, like, the deadliest forest ever.
Yeah, which is hilarious because of his character. Like, of all the people...
Yeah. Dude, fucking Heracles, though.
Heracles is funny. I
so
don't...
dumb. I love him.
Did they ever tell you if he's a man or whatever, or is he like actually a walking bug guy? He looks like that beetle thing,
like a Hercules beetle.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why his name's Heracles. If I'm not mistaken, he's just a guy wearing armor, like a knight. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I kind of forget that he exists because it's like that's such a small part of the story that, like, he is important because he helps Usopp and he trains with him.
Well, then he comes back and helps again.
Right. So it's like he is important, but
yeah.
I have not read him in like 600 chapters. 4. Either way, I have not read about it in a while. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, Zoro goes to train with Mihawk. He puts his pride aside
to
help his captain.
Yeah, so, well, and that's interesting, too, because I think of all of the displaced characters, I feel like his story is my favorite.
Oh, for sure.
Because the first time you ever meet Mihawk, you're like, whoa.
He's a badass.
This guy's crazy cool.
Strongest swordsman. Like, he is top dog.
Yeah, and so you go, when do we get him back? And we get him a little bit back. We've had him a little bit.
Because it's been so long. He is what, like at the Baratie originally, or is it like right before Baratie when they meet Sanji? He's maybe like chapter 10 to 30, somewhere in there.
Yes, and then he pops back up. I think at Ennis Lobby or one of the wars where
Paramount War for sure.
Okay,
just kind
okay.
of like they're all just kind of there. Like, they're not really fighting. They're just like, we're here because you summoned us.
Right.
But no, well, Mihawk is like Shanks. Doesn't do a whole lot, but when he arrives, you're like, oh, some shit's about to go down.
Yeah.
Like, this man's a G.
And so when Bartholomew Kuma, threw everybody to different islands with his power, Zoro ends up with Mihawk, and then Perona ended up taking refuge in Mihawk's castle when he was gone.
I just think that's it. That's so, we've talked about it, and everyone who knows One Piece knows, like, Oda is great for callbacks or just like the long game, and I think that's such a great callback to Thriller Bark when Akuma's like, hey, like, if you could go anywhere, where would you go? And she's like, oh, spooky island on like a nighttime island. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Whack. It just makes her vanish, and you're like, the fuck just happened? And then when it circles all the way back and Zoro's there, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, cool island, castle. And then you see Perona and you're like, oh my God. He actually did it.
Yep.
Like, he sent that bitch here.
And so that, okay. So that's something I was going to say because you had talked about asking me fan theories ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one that I wish you would have asked me about because when I very first met Kuma, I was like, I hate this guy. When he actually comes back and throws them all to different places, I was like, this is weird. He didn't kill them.
Right.
He could have ended them.
Immediately, yeah.
But he just threw them into different places, and then you meet Ivankov, and you learn Kuma was a revolutionary under Dragon, and he was a homie, and Ivankov is very confused about Kuma doing this. He's like, that is
That's
not
the Kuma that we know.
his personality. And then when he meets him, he goes, something's off here. So I wish you would have asked me about that because my initial theory was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 4 chapters later, I was like, he's a good guy.
So let me ask you now, what do you think is going to happen to Kuma in the future?
Okay, so that's interesting because they've already made a whole bunch of prototypes of him.
Sure.
So the pacivistas already exist, and they have no, as far as I can tell, they're all robot, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Kuma, who is slowly
Cyborg,
being
basically.
transformed into a cyborg robot. He knew that he was sacrificing his self when he contracted with the Navy to
Absolutely,
be
yeah.
Is he an emperor or is he a
He's a
warlord? Okay. So the deal that he made with them, he kind of realized what he was doing, and he made a directive within his own programming to protect the Sunny. And so when everybody kind of gets back to Sabaody and then they converge on the ship, who is it? Zoro was there first, or
Which
is he the one that met Kuma there?
no, because they all met at Shaki's bar, and Zoro was the first one to arrive at Shaki's bar.
Okay, so was it Usopp that got to the ship first then, right?
I think Frankie gets to the ship first.
You could be right. So yeah, whoever gets there first, at that point then Kuma is like, okay, my mission is complete, and he leaves.
Right.
And you find out that he has literally been fighting off anybody that tried to get to the ship for the last year.
Yep.
Also other characters that you might have not loved that are helpful. What's that guy's name? Duval?
Yeah.
The one that is at
The
first
Sanji poster.
Yeah, he's like the Sanji wanted poster when you first meet him, and then Sanji
so
kicks his face.
fucking dumb and makes him hotter.
Yeah, he makes him more handsome, and so then he's like, I love you.
Right.
I'm
But now
indebted
they're
to
homies,
you.
yeah.
And so the first year that they're gone in the 2-year break, Duval is guarding the ship with his flying band of pirates, and then Kuma comes and takes over. But it's like I think that's the essence of One Piece to me, is you never really know when a seemingly small character is going to carry out a very important
and
part of the story.
I know, like that again, like that's where I think a lot of people really love that story, is because it's like you could have the most insignificant detail,
Right.
and then it becomes something big, or even if it's just like hey, remember this one thing? Well, here it is again. Like, I don't know which chapter it's in, but it's very early on into the series. Do you remember the drawing that Luffy does of Nami when I think it's around Arlong Park, where it's like it's a fish with legs and hair? So basically,
Is that the one that pisses off the guy, or is that her wanted poster?
No, I think he's showing Sanji. He's like, it's like this is like Nami, she's one of the fishmen. It's like the shittiest drawing of a fish standing up with legs, arms, and hair. And so, it's just a throwaway joke, but in Fishman Island, in the background in one of the panels, you can see that exact fish there. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, just again, it's a callback joke. And then, later on, like stuff like that really comes into fruition because you're like, okay, I'm connecting some dots here.
Yeah, so I'm just starting Fishman Island where I am. So that's basically so they all gain new powers or new strengths in what they were good at. So Usopp now has different weapons at his disposal when he shoots stuff, which are pretty cool actually. Like,
is one of them the Shatterstar, or is that the X-Men?
Ooh, I think that's one of the X-Force.
Well, okay, yeah, my mistake.
Yeah.
I knew, no, he's for sure Marvel, but I want to say Usopp has an attack like that.
It's possible. He calls one of them like the green something, and it's cool because he does it in the bar. Like, so basically they come back.
Oh,
and you come back to the imposter Straw Hats.
Those, oh my god, the imposter Straw Hats are so fucking funny though.
Yeah, no.
It's like we were saying the other day, Luffy and Chopper. Love them to death. They're possibly some of the dumbest fucking people because Chopper thought they were all legit, and Luffy was like, "Oh, you guys have just gotten fatter." Like,
yeah. So like you get, they all get back together, and there's just an entire crew of people that have decided they are the Straw Hats.
Well, yeah,
they look nothing like the real Straw Hats.
I mean, the Luffy guy looked like he was just doing Gum Gum Balloon.
Yeah, he looked like Luffy after he ate 1,700 pounds of meat.
Well, yeah,
you know.
But the difference is Luffy could then stand up and go, okay, cool, I'm back to normal.
Yeah.
That guy is like, no, he's just fat.
Yeah, and so they are at Sabaody, and they're convincing everybody that they are the Straw Hats, and they're recruiting like crazy.
Right.
And so
Which
this...
makes no sense.
So, and so this idiot has like, I think he has like 150 pirates under his wing by the time everybody gets together there.
Well, then you get Caribou and Caribou, brothers.
Yeah. So those are two pirates under this fake Luffy's crew, and they have like huge bounties. They're like 210 berries and 190 million berries.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, who are these guys?
Speaking of large bounties, choppers.
That's 50 berries.
There's the rumor or like the joke that a lot of people like to make, where or like I guess a theory at the end of the day. But whoever makes like the bounties for all the pirates, every time they see Chopper, they're like, I don't want to give him a high bounty because like he's so adorable. I don't want this thing to get hurt. So they're like 25, 50. And they just like slowly increase it where it'd be like you'll have like Luffy where it's like, oh, his just went up by 150,000 berries. And it's just like, oh, cool. What about Chopper's? Because like during Ennie's lobby, Chopper does a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah.
25.
But, is that a fan theory that you said?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's ever been officially confirmed. Like, I mean, I know, if I'm not mistaken, Oda has basically said, like, Chopper is essentially the mascot of the series. Because he is. He's adorable.
Yeah.
But, like, he still does shit. He's not, I mean, like, right now, he's not currently useless like Sanji.
He does stuff, but I think that it's weird. Because that's, like, who reports after the war, right? So, like, the way I've always looked at Chopper is they always, like, if it's not one of the Straw Hats, they always just assume that he's their pet.
That's true.
And so it's like, okay, how big of a bounty do you give to a pirate's pet?
True.
So like,
that also still kind of feeds into that theory of like, well, this is adorable. Like, you don't want to hurt this thing, so let's not really give it a high bounty. So, like, if someone saw, they're like, whatever. Like,
well, yeah, because
it's 50 berries in my pocket.
Right, it's not worth your time to mess with it. So, yeah, but he does do stuff,
dude. Well, like, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, Ennie's lobby, Chopper does work.
Oh yeah,
was it the 3 rumble balls in a row, and he becomes the giant monster? Mm-hmm. Like, I think he just calls it Monster Point. I think that's
right. Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
Oh no, dude, he is a badass.
Yeah. No, I think Chopper, he's extremely useful. I just think it's one of those weird, like, misnomers where, like...
Well, yeah.
Because every time you see him, unless you got destroyed by Monster Chopper, you just think he's... And everybody calls him a raccoon. And he's
raccoon dog.
He's like, I'm a reindeer.
Was it the fake Straw Hats? Did they have a raccoon, or was it a fox?
It was a fox.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just had, like, a...
Yeah, they're just like... the best part is, too, like, I think it's the fake Robin. She's like... Well, this actually looks like him. Like, it's an actual reindeer versus a fox. And they're like, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, sure, we already had a good thing going. And it's like, did you, though?
And then the best part is like, so then the fake Robin gets kidnapped. And, please excuse my phone. I didn't realize it was, I didn't know it was on.
I was smart and silenced mine.
Well, good for you.
Yep.
Yeah, but so they kidnap the fake Robin.
Right. Thinking it's the real Robin.
But then those reports go back to the real Straw Hats, and they're like, what? Like, what?
They just, like, look over at Robin. They're like...
Yeah, it's just like... So... And then Luffy's on his own. He's the last to arrive. Things that you need to know. everybody learned something, but in his 2-year gap, I think that Luffy, they focused on him the most because he learned how to use hockey.
Yes.
And so now, from this moment going forward, hockey is going to, I assume, kind of take over the narrative.
It's basically like, not the superpower, but it's like everyone in the New World pretty much has it.
Yes.
Because you essentially need it to survive.
Well, and they explain it how, because Rayleigh, the Dark King, shows back up, which
Right.
is, to me, he's one of my favorites. I love that.
Oh, he's a badass.
I love that character. I just think he's drawn cool. He's just a badass.
Sure.
And then they keep reinforcing that. So it's like, yeah, this guy's a G.
Yeah.
So he comes, and he's the one who trains Luffy about the hockey, and then it's supposed to be a 2-year training, and he goes, I'm leaving. He leaves him 6 months early and goes back to Sabaody.
Doesn't he swim back? Or did he just swim to Amazon Lily?
He swam to Amazon Lily.
Okay.
From a completely different ocean.
Yeah.
Like no ship, just swimming.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Phelps wishes he could do that.
No, yeah.
So-
Rayleigh's just like, nah, it's cool, I got it. And he does his thing.
Yeah. So he's awesome. So now we're back. Luffy is in Sabaody.
Yep.
He has hockey powers at this point.
Correct.
He's, like you said, just as stupid as Chopper. Because
more.
probably more because he's a human being.
Well,
So he should be able to recognize people.
but he can't.
He's literally walking around with the fake Sanji and the fake Zoro. They look nothing like them.
Well, doesn't...
And then, like, they're
memory
friendly
serves,
with each other.
Sanji's, like, the fake Sanji, doesn't he look like a crack addict? And Zoro's fat?
Kind of.
Like-
Yes, I think that's how it went.
Yeah.
But, like, nothing, they don't look anything like
No.
them. And Luffy's just walking with them, talking to him.
Like,
and
Nami looks like your typical cigarette mom. Like, she's got, like, the beer gut.
Yeah.
Like...
No, she's definitely straight out of like a Winnebago or something, you know. And so he's walking and he's like, "Oh, you guys really got really friendly in 2 years."
Yeah.
And if you've read One Piece, you know Sanji and Zoro
hate each other.
Like,
Well, they don't hate. They're rivals.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like they're just total rivals to the core, and they're not even driven by the same
Well, none of them are.
motivation.
No, that's the best part about the Straw Hats. They all have their own motives and reasons for doing what they're doing. Like, yeah, they've made great friends along the way, but they're just like, no, but like at the end of the day, it's like, this is my dream, that's yours, this is yours.
But
I think that's really cool.
But I guess with those two characters specifically, their contention with each other cracks me up the most because, like,
yeah.
Sanji's just what is that word that you use?
Dick?
No, the
Oh.
woman. He's getting nosebleeds all the time.
Oh, yeah, just a pervert.
It's not the whatever. Well, I'll think of it. A simp.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was the word you were thinking.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
a simp.
Yeah, where it's like you'll bend over backwards for women. I mean, he's always been a simp.
Sure, but
Right now, especially, he is hardcore.
But that's really his motivation. Like
Well,
he
his-
just
I mean,
wants to
his-
fight and look cool because he wants the women to look at him and be like, "Ooh, Sanji,
and
my
like, you know,
hero."
his main dream is to find the all blue, but along the way, it's like, oh, if I happen to see some pretty girls,
Right. So, and then Zoro, he just wants to be the strongest swordsman ever.
Yep.
So they could very easily fight together towards the same goal,
for sure, they just don't.
and
Well, and like that's why, because we've talked about it. That's why the Davy back fight is as important as it is, you know.
Yeah.
Because they realize that they can work together and put their differences aside. Because like at the end of the day, yes, they still have their dreams. I would say Zoro more so because he's like loyal to a fault.
sure,
But their main goal is to still help Luffy become king of the pirates and fulfill his dream.
right.
So,
And they all realize that helping him fulfill that dream is
Helps
going
them with
to
theirs.
get them
yeah,
to their
they're
goals too.
basically
So like,
helping for selfish reasons.
yeah. But it works because they all become real, actual friends,
Right.
And so it kind of changes that dynamic,
Right.
Okay, so he's got the hockey.
Yep. Which actually, what's cool about that too, I want to say they called it mantra, but in Skypiea they
Yes.
alluded to that as well.
Yes, with Eniru.
Yep.
Eniru
or
yeah.
Enel.
Whatever his
It's
name.
just-
Yeah.
yeah.
The lightning guy that I hated.
Eminem.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's based on Eminem.
Okay. Well, there you go,
Yeah, those long earlobes though.
dude.
I mean,
And the do rag.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I will say, keep him in your mind when you get a little further into the story, because they're going to reference, for lack of a better term. He's going to get referenced with something.
Okay.
I don't want to say what it is, but obviously when you get to that point, if you haven't figured it out, I'll just tell you.
Okay.
But
yeah, so they allude to the fact, the reason that hockey is important is who was the last Logia type that Luffy fought?
I was going to say Ace, but no, he didn't fight him.
Is it Akainu or?
Nah, yeah. I'm pretty sure Akaino's a Logia.
So like basically the hockey allows you to touch untouchable enemies.
Right.
And that's why it is so important, because up to this point you have seen some fights with him where he's like, there's nothing I can do to this guy.
Right. Oh, it's going to get even more important later.
Which I figured. You can tell this is a transition point in the story where it's like, okay, first we had a war, now somebody died, now Luffy has learned how to harness the ultimate power.
Right.
And so every time we go back, we're leveling up again into a new part.
And like, I think it also just kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. It just adds an extra layer of fun, but not supernatural, but like, I guess fantastic element to the show. Like, it already has it, and it's great as it is.
Sure.
Adding that, you're just like, oh, it's even cooler now? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you treat it like real life, obviously we don't really have hockey.
Right.
But there are plenty of people that can harness the power of chi.
Sure.
Which
like
is
martial artists.
which is like controlling your environment and energy in a way. And
well,
so
like,
it's parallels that a little bit.
Which one of your friends, you were talking about like punching a board?
Oh, that's, David.
Yeah, and he was kind of like, the way that like he'll instruct people is basically kind of visualize hitting the back of the board, not the front of it.
Yeah, punching through it.
Yeah, but I would say like that's kind of like maybe like the closest thing to it, where it's like, okay, you're visualizing it in a different scenario than you normally would.
Right. You're visualizing the outcome and not the action.
Yeah.
And,
which, I mean,
and so
kind of, but not really like observation hockey, because that's really just basically, hey, I just saw this much into the future.
That's a very, okay. Yes. So they've shown it to us with Boa Sanderson, I think. Was she the one of the Hancock sisters that had the power of observation during that fight? But when he was fighting them before,
like in the arena,
before Hancock fell in love with him, basically, he fought the other two sisters, and they realized he had hockey, and he didn't even know that he had it.
Yeah, because he had the Conqueror's hockey, and it was kind of just like he couldn't control it.
Yeah.
Same with it, Marineford.
Yeah, and so like he's constantly been circling around the fact that it exists for him, but other people already have control of it and are recognizing it in him.
Right.
And so it's like another layer, especially the King's hockey.
Well, I was to say, you're born with that or you're not.
Yeah, and so I think in the end, this is my far-reaching theory, and they've already kind of alluded to it. I think it was Whitebeard who said it, maybe, about Teach.
Which part specifically?
So he has the D. Right?
Yeah, he is part of the D clan with the Will of D.
Yeah. So the Will of D, like, they haven't really delved into it, but I feel like that part is tantamount to the King hockey.
Oh, for sure.
And so like who said it about Teach? Was it Rayleigh or was it
what said what though?
About him not being the king. About him basically not.
Oh, Whitebeard for sure told him. He's like, you're not the one that.
Yeah, he goes.
Roger had in mind.
Right. So he basically says, I don't care about the fact that you have the D. You are not. Yeah, the one.
He straight up told him, he's like, you are not who Roger envisioned. Basically, stop trying now.
Yeah, and so, I really believe that that's something. I don't know how Luffy is gonna realize it when he realizes that he has the will of the king, but I don't even know, you're so much farther ahead of me, you probably already know, but like once he has it, I think that's when we're actually getting close to the end, because then he has everything he needs to basically become king of the pirates at that point.
I mean, I'll be quiet on that one a little bit. They've talked about like the poneglyphs and all that, right?
Yeah, the stuff that Robin was researching and,
Yeah.
and why her entire island had to be removed.
Dude, the destruction of Ohara is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. They just totally, like, everybody, this entire nation
God.
needs to be destroyed.
What's crazy? It happens again,
Interesting.
but in a completely different way.
Ah.
Spoiler, I guess. I mean,
No, well, okay, so is it a spoiler? Is it not a spoiler? Is it anything to do with what I just read? What's her name? Shaki?
Shocky.
Because she just prophesized that Luffy is the end of Fishman Island.
Shocky is the bar owner that
Oh.
is with Rayleigh. I don't remember her name, but I know the shark.
Yes, the shark
Yeah.
lady.
Actually, her name might.
Charlie.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's Charlie.
Yeah.
They're so close. So, like, she prophesizes that he will be the end of Fishman Island.
I can neither confirm nor deny
Well,
because I don't know.
okay, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that is a prophecy. So
Yeah, where
something else happens then.
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining that for me. So
It's a shit. I literally told you I don't know.
it's exactly what you didn't say that ruined it.
It's not what you said, it's how you didn't say it.
Damn right. But yeah. So they get. Oh, that's where I'm going. I get sidetracked. So his hockey. The first time you get to like see it is you.
It's when they shoot at him.
Oh, okay. The first time that I liked it, then
You didn't think that was cool?
I thought it was cool, but I was like, I already knew that he had that power.
Well, sure.
So they- that's-
on Enel.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. Granted, the only difference there was he's like, I'm just not going to pay attention.
Right.
But
But I guess I just like that he decides they're on the way to Fishman Island and they have to go like 30,000
Meters
feet
below.
or meters below sea level.
do you know what's crazy, though?
That's impossible.
Well, no. They actually made it. That submarine didn't.
Oh, you mean swimming in a bubble?
Yeah.
All three of them together?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they crawled into Zoro's bubble, right? Because there's
Oh,
popped.
that's right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're so fucking stupid. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like at one point there was like a sea king or something, and Luffy tries to like catch it, so he throws his arm outside of the Sunny's bubble, and then forgets that it's seawater. He
No,
does something.
that's when he's trying to fight the Kraken.
She tries to punch it,
Yeah, because he goes. They're trying to get to the bottom of the ocean,
and he's gonna pop the bubble.
and they see a Kraken, and he's like, they just want to turn around. They're like, fuck this. He goes, no, let's tame it.
Yeah.
He's like, we're gonna tame a Kraken. It's so it's kind of the first time that you see him using, because he uses the hockey. He knocks the Kraken the fuck out.
Right. And he's cold cocks it.
Yeah, he knocks it out.
Yeah.
And then they
just
show
sinks.
it in the panels passed out, sinking.
to the bottom of the ocean.
You're like,
God damn.
and so, but before that, they say, no, you're going to pop the bubble to the ship,
Yeah, 'cause
and
he's
we're all
stretching it.
gonna die.
Yeah.
And so then, actually, this asshole Caribou is the one who had the good idea of putting him in bubbles and sending him out of the ship to fight.
Right.
Because he's like sitting in a barrel.
Oh, did they take Caribou down with them, or did he
Yes.
just sneak on?
No. So what happens is they're going. I'm so out of order when I talk about anything, but so when they're going to the seafloor, at some point they realize the ship is following them, and he's being pulled by that giant sea cow that I think Nami made friends with.
Okay.
Right, because she looks at the sea cow and she's like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this?" And they
Right.
show the cow like, "Whoa." And so he starts like pulling the ship in the other direction for a second. But they get their bubbles close enough together
Right.
that Caribou basically gets on the ship
Gotcha. Okay.
and then thinks that they're all about to invade the ship, but somehow they like get pushed
Separated,
apart, and so
yeah.
he's the only one on the ship. He's like, "Oh my God, it's 9 against 1."
yeah.
He's like,
Oh, we didn't talk about it. To circle back to when we were kind of talking about like all the different,
powers.
like the different islands they went to.
Oh yeah.
So, because I watched most of all of this. Or actually, no, I watched all of this up until I wasn't able to. How did they? Do they change the font at all for Frankie when he gets T instead of cola put in him?
I don't know if I don't know if I remember him having tea put in him.
Because like when he's with the kid and his dad or grandpa, I don't remember. And he has like, instead of like his typical Hawaiian shirt, he has like a suit jacket and a vest. He still has no pants on, but he's got like a comb over. He's British.
I feel like they might have added that for the TV.
Oh, really?
I do not remember that. I'm going to go look back through the volume and see, but I do not remember that at all. Because I think that would have
funny.
Really made me laugh.
Well, because it's so dumb. Because he's like, it's when he's on the ice island. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But he like makes a comment where he's like, "Oh, like I don't have any cola. I'm gonna run out of steam here." And they're like, "Well, we have this," and they just pour tea into him, and it just turns him British.
Yeah, I don't.
He's all posh and fancy.
I do not remember that.
Oh.
I have to go look again.
What is hilarious though is we were laughing about it the other day, just how dumb they all are in their own respects.
Yeah.
But specifically Frankie, where he looks, he's like, "Oh, cool, it's a pirate flag," and it says "danger" right above it. He just presses it and blows up the whole lab.
Yeah.
Blows off his entire front half.
Yeah. So you see, because Frankie, I forgot, because Frankie comes back as like an enormous robot now, like.
Battle Frankie, was it 39 or something? I don't remember what's on his shoulder.
I think it's like CX-39 or something like that.
It should be Battle Frankie because that's all his ships.
Oh, BF-39.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's singed.
Yeah.
Like he's black, and after it happens, there are some people trying to interact with him, and he terrifies them.
Well, because they just see robotic skin. They see the T-800. Like.
So like, but he comes back enormous.
Yes.
And
literal cannon arms now.
Ridiculous. You're like, oh, Frankie, you fucking ass.
Yeah.
Like you were already an ass. Now you're
Absolutely.
super ass. Like.
Oh, dude, just wait, because like we were talking the other day that like I don't love the look. I like him better when he has the faux hawk. I also like his original design better. I get why they changed it. It's fine, but his hair just gets ridiculous.
Well, yeah, so now he's got a shaved head, but then, like, if you push his nose for 3 seconds, he can do whatever hairstyle he wants.
Yep.
It's like,
oh, no, it's going to become a thing, and it's going to be fantastic every time it happens.
So he's back. But anyways, they're headed to Fishman Island.
Yep.
Yeah, so Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro they're out of the ship fighting in these bubbles. And then they disappear. Like, and everybody on the ship is like, oh my God, I can't see them. Where are they? And they end up in the dark regions of the seafloor where everything is scary and terrifying. Mm-hmm. And then you're happily reunited with the three of those guys because they have tamed the Kraken.
Yeah.
Like, so they come in on the Kraken.
Well, they're like, we said we were going to do it, so we did it. Like... filing their nails. What's up? What's good?
And so they make it to Fishman Island. And who is it? Is it Cammy? Is that her name or Kami?
I believe it's Kami. I mean, it's hard to, like, in the
mermaid
show,
girl.
Yeah, in the show it's Kami, but obviously, like, reading it, you would read it as Cammy.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to adjust my brain based on what those characters' names are actually pronounced as how I'm personally reading them.
Yeah.
But you're kind of reunited with her, and the last time you saw her was what?
That was when she was getting auctioned off at Sabaody the first time, when Luffy straight up just beat
punched
the shit out of the Celestial Dragon.
Yeah, it was her, and was it Hatchin?
Hachi?
Is he the octopus guy? Yeah.
What you told me yesterday, and I already forgot. The fucking starfish, what's his name?
I already forgot too.
Damn it.
Yes, but the starfish that is basically it's
a fashion designer.
It's Kami's pet. But on Fishman, But on Fishman Island, he is like he's a famous clothing designer, and he's like the richest person there.
Papagoo,
that's right. So you kind of reunite with him. You go with him to his mansion. You go to his store, the criminal clothing store.
And they just rob him.
They steal everything.
Absolutely.
They like take literally everything.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing left on the shelf.
Which, I mean, why would there be?
Of course.
He said, take whatever you want. They took it all.
And so while that's all happening, that's when the the shark lady.
Oh,
Charlie. There you go, Charlie. That's when the Charlie lady like looks at her fortune.
Little crystal ball.
Yeah, there you go, crystal ball. And sees the prophecy that Luffy is going to be the end
of Fishman Island.
And so now they have decided, we have to capture all of the Straw Hats and imprison them.
I don't recall exactly. Isn't like her crystal ball, like, isn't there like fire behind him when she's looking through it?
I don't know.
I was gonna say, because like obviously because they can breathe under in Fishman Island because they have like that like dome,
Right.
But the idea of like destroying it and fire happening, it's like, well, what if it pops and then just obviously they would become the submarine too. They would just just implode immediately.
Which not that it matters, but there are 30,000 meters under the sea. The reason that Fishman populated this area is because they're the only people that can get there.
Yep.
And it is literally the one place on the ocean floor that sun makes it all the way to the bottom.
Right.
Because of these special plants, trees.
I
Like they
remember.
explain it, that photosynthesis happens to these trees, and then the trees illuminate to the ocean floor or whatever. I'm like,
Right.
that's cool.
Sure.
Like, but that's why they're down there.
Yeah.
So they can stay hidden because there is a huge conflict between humans
And
fishmen.
Yeah.
And so they just stay in their lane.
Yep.
But yeah, so they're down in Fishman Island finally. Now they're being hunted, like always. Like the Straw Hats, I feel like they get a day of
Party.
play around.
Yeah, they get the day of play at the beginning.
Yeah.
They find someone who's disenfranchised in any way. They feed Luffy, and then he goes, "What kind of government do I have to topple?"
Pretty much.
And then they topple it, and then they have a day of party, and then they leave.
Yeah, that's about right. And he's not like, it's funny because a recurring theme is like when he meets Shirahoshi,
Yep.
the mermaid princess.
Gigantic, like 80,000 foot tall mermaid.
She's enormous.
She is huge.
She is the daughter of Neptune, who is the king of the sea in this story,
Mm-hmm.
and she is just massive.
Yeah.
And comparative to him, like 40 times his size? I don't know. Like he stands in the palm of her hand and
Yeah.
looks tiny.
No, yeah, she is massive.
And then,
Even
like,
her mom is fucking tiny.
right? Yeah, it's just random. Well, I don't know if they give you a size context for Neptune really until he's in chains later.
Keep talking, I'm gonna Google
Like
it.
standing in reference to that. So like, but anyways, in absolute Luffy fashion, the Neptunians have invited them back to their palace to give them a feast because Jinbei basically said, "Hey, give these guys a message when they get here." And so they think they're being hunted at first, but they're actually just trying to catch up to them and be like, "Hey, we want to thank you
Yeah.
and give you a feast." And then shit hits the fan. But in typical Luffy fashion, he's waiting on the food and he gets impatient.
I mean, fair.
And he starts to follow his nose. He's like, "I smell food.
He just
I'm
started
gonna
to
find
pick
it."
up Bloodhound.
And so he wanders through this castle and ends up in Shirahoshi's room, the princess, and she's behind this massive, heavy door full of axes. Like, that's what you see. It's a door full of axes. And because the one character,
Declan?
is that his name? There's a guy, no, the cursed captain, Van something.
Yeah, Vanderdecken.
Okay, Vanderdecken, yeah, that guy. So he's like a 10th generation cursed captain under the sea, and he's in love with Shirahoshi. And to show her that he's in love with her, he throws giant axes at her. He's like, if you don't,
So fucking dumb.
yeah, it's like if you don't marry me, I'll kill you. And I never miss a shot. And he has like the Mark curse, I think is what it's called.
Sure.
Which they haven't explained it yet where I'm at. They're going to next volume
Yes.
because Luffy's going to do what he's not supposed to.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, so he like throws axes at this woman, and Luffy is in her room, and he just starts eating the food in the darkness.
Yeah.
And then hears the voice. He's like, "Oh, is somebody there?" And so you meet Shirahoshi, and then he's talking to her, and he's such a savage with her. So,
Oh
like,
my God, he does not give a fuck. Like, he just treats her like absolute dog shit.
she's a princess. And, like, they talk for about 3 minutes, and he's like, "I hate you."
Yeah, he's just like, "I hate everything you stand for. Die." You're like, oh my God. I looked it up. So Neptune is 40 feet tall. Shirahoshi is like 55 feet tall.
Okay, so she's even bigger than her dad. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
But
she's
there are some
huge.
things that say like, oh, she's shorter, but it's like I'm going off of this.
Yeah, I can go with that because the way that she's drawn,
Yeah.
she looks intentionally bigger than
That's a big
everybody
bitch.
else. Like, yeah, she's a large woman.
Yeah, and like,
not
and
in
you
charge.
know that because I don't think he's met her yet, but you know that like Sanji's gonna try and fuck her,
Well, yeah, Sanji.
even though she is massively larger than him.
he is a mermaid lover.
Right.
Like he loves women, but when it comes to mermaids, it's like on another level.
Right.
There's actually there's a part where they're hunting for the Straw Hats.
Okay.
And Sanji ends up like in a bath or like in a hot spring
Where
or
they're just kinda,
something.
like, playing around.
Yeah, and the one mermaid is talking to them and she's like, "Oh, hide here," and pulls Sanji's face in between her boobs.
Yeah, and then his blood sprays out of it.
Right, and so it causes a catastrophic event for Sanji where he has a nosebleed that leads him to the
potential
hospital.
death. Yeah.
And because there is this brooding
Feud
that we talked about with fishmen and
Humans.
humans, nobody will donate blood to him.
Right.
So they have to like go to town and try to find
someone who's
a donor that
yeah.
has the right blood type, and of course Sanji has rare blood.
Right.
And
But-
it's a whole
No,
thing.
the best part about that too is just the fact that it's like Chopper straight up tells me, he's like, dude, if you do this again, you will die.
Yeah.
Like I think that aspect of it's funny, but overall it's like he is kind of useless
It's
during
a
Fishman Island.
it's a little frustrating. I think not because it happened ever, but it was like, okay, you've been away from women for 2 years, so like I'll treat it like mentally like you were in prison.
Sure.
Okay, and you get out and you're a maniac
Sure.
for a few days.
Well, yeah.
Like not like every woman you see causes
Right.
you to just absolutely lose your shit.
Right.
Like
I feel like we've been going long, but I have one question to ask you as well. Coming up for One Piece, what character do you want to see more of? Not necessarily just with Fishman Island, but like just in general. Which one are you like? I want to see a lot more of this character.
you already know the answer to that question. Law.
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
that's my guy.
Law's a G.
Like they show anytime they show him and he goes, "No, we're gonna be smart. I'm not doing shit.
Yeah.
I'll go when I'm doing it time."
yeah, no, Law
You
knows,
know.
Law is smart.
Yeah, like I really like that character a lot. So I would love to see more of him. I would be happy to see plenty more Rayleigh.
Yeah.
Jinbei,
Yeah.
you know, I really liked him, and we didn't see a lot of him.
Prior.
Those are my three,
Okay.
I think. But Law, for sure. Just the way that he is written,
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's awesome.
Now you have to think too, with those three characters, Jinbei less. Well, no, I would say overall, just because like they've only interacted a little bit, but it's like now you have to imagine each one of those characters, their personality against Luffy's, and just how chaotic that would be.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Rayleigh kind of keeps him in check.
I was gonna say I feel like they had kind of established because he gave him hockey, he taught him hockey, but
Right.
he also like it's the missing male role model in his life now. Like Ace is gone.
Sure, his dragon literally fucked off.
Yeah, and then Garp is Garp.
Well, yeah.
And I think he's kind of
Even Garp kind of fucked off. He's like, "Here, have fun with the monkeys in the forest. I'm out."
yeah, and so Rayleigh brings back a little bit of that.
Maternal or parental
Yeah, that
instinct.
that role model figure to him, and then Jinbei. And Jinbei is like, look, dude, I feel like this is how he is. It's like, look, if you don't get wise, I'm about to knock you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, just listen to what I say, or I'm gonna knock you out. Like.
Get busy living.
And then Law and him. That's interesting because I feel like they are.
Did they interact a little bit at the first Saba Odi? Like
They very.
they just kind of fought together, right? Like that, and briefly.
Yeah, they don't really like talk. They're just there in tandem with each other,
Right.
And so like it's not like a proper interaction. And then he's
Gotcha.
already unconscious at Paramount War, right?
Well, sure. When Law
So-
arrives to save him.
Yeah. So Law. That's I want to see a lot more of that character.
Fair enough.
And I might be spacing out on some people, but I feel like that's kind of where I want to be.
Fair enough.
And as much as I don't like him, I want to see a little bit more of them giving us Teach and villainizing him more.
I do like. I don't like Teach because he's awful.
Yeah.
But I do like him because he's awful. Like I like.
Yeah. He needs to be there.
Yeah. Well, because I like the way they're kind of posturing it. And I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like he's gonna be like the antithesis to the whole thing. I mean, shit. He's the one person that Luffy's met that ate something Luffy didn't like.
Right.
It was fucking cherry pie. Like, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely set it up like that, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying about with the Will of D,
Right.
and all of that. You know, obviously, Gold Roger didn't meet Luffy.
Right.
He knew about him because of going and taking Ace, and they kind of allude to the fact that he checked up on Ace.
Could be mistaken, but I thought Gold Roger died before Ace was born, and then the mom, Port-Gisti Rouge, she like held him in her womb for like another year and a half.
Oh yeah, you could.
He's 2 years older than Luffy.
You could be right, actually. Well, by that token, then he's 3.5 years older than Luffy.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm thinking of a different interaction.
Because I think Roger just kept going back to that island to like kind of check up on her and be like, "Hey, what's good, girl?"
Yeah.
And then eventually, obviously, got executed.
Right.
But
yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. That's what I'm looking for.
Cool.
And
well, you got more to read.
Yeah, well, so I already read volume 62.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, just in general, like you've got.
Oh, I got a lot to read.
Yeah, you got at least, 30 more volumes?
Well, I think they're up to volume 120 something, aren't they?
No, I don't think they are. I think 105 comes out later this year.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever it is, the last box that I have, I think, ends at 90.
Yeah. So.
And I know there's more after that.
Well, for sure.
So I've got at least a solid 40 to go. Yeah, I got a long way to go. And I love it. Like, you'll hear me say it every time we talk about One Piece. I love this series. I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
Cool.
So, with that said, YouTube things, subscribe.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. What's the
16
bell?
times.
Ring the bell 16 times.
I think it's notifications. I don't know. I'm not a YouTube person.
Hey.
I just watch videos with ad block.
Still ring it. If you like what we do, let us know. If you don't like what we do, let us know. If you think we're ugly,
don't let us know.
Let us know.
My ego's fragile.
Mine's not. I could guess. I could care less. So anyway, hey, hope you guys enjoyed the show. We're going to talk next about some movies and other stuff, and then we'll be back with manga and anime next week. If you have any recommendations of stuff that we should watch, we're happy to give it a shot.
As long as it's not Devilman Crybaby.
Already done that. Won't go there again.
Thank God.
Yep. Peace.
Bye.